Life is strange, Devar.
Life is Strange, the video game?
No, life is strange in general.
Oh. My next guess was going to be a TV series of the same name.
Today I watched the latest episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, as you did. Otherwise,
Yes.
we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yep. Especially since Rainbow Dash here doesn't look impressed with us talking about it.
Yes, that was the only choice for for a image to put on this podcast.
And I thought
The,
it
o-
first.
the only choice. Anyway, this episode, thanks for the memories. It was written by Cindy Morrow, which also wrote such emotionally fulfilling episodes as Sisterhood Social and Hurricane Fluttershy back in season 2. Now the Life is Strange part comes into play in this bizarre way. Today I was also marathoning through season 4 of Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls, which is a fantastic show that's even much better than my memory thought it would be. It turns out it's much better than that. And specifically, I watched this episode that was also wrote by Cindy Morrow in the Powerpuff Girls show. Well, more specifically, Cindy Morrow and Clay Morrow, which I'm assuming he's her husband, but I don't know that for sure. Now, this episode was titled Super Friends. It's about the Powerpuff Girls befriending the new, recently relocated neighborhood girl. And the whole episode focuses on one hand, the girls being, well, children and having fun with their new friends, but their very adult related superheroic problems of saving the day from giant monster attacks and whatnot coming in between their fun and their responsibility. So they have to go save the day, cannot spend time with their new friend. And a new friend of which happens to have one thing in common with them. In that they were all, um, well, you know the Powerpuff Girls were the result of an accident, right?
Yes, I definitely know. I definitely know that.
Well, this little girl that they are friend with is also the result of an accident.
Oh.
And the show doesn't even imply that. It tells you right out with one line that she was an accident. And the fact that she knows is an accident also implies that their parents told her. And considering how young she is, that must have,
Yeesh.
I think this episode implies a lot in the subtext that she has parental problems.
Yeah.
So the whole point is that this episode, I believe, it's the best episode in the entire show, the best written episode in the entire PPG show. At least it's my favorite, and it's really really good. And Cindy Morrow, when it comes to children's cartoons, might be the best writer when it comes to stories involving slice of life narratives involving emotions, raw emotions, the emotional exploration of a character, personal crisis, and all of that. She is the best in that department. And thus we come to this episode starring Rainbow Dash and her pet Tank, which I'm going to tell you right now, at least half the fandom is going to absolutely despise for all of the wrong reasons because Rainbow Dash cries. Oh, cries. And cries a lot of crying from Rainbow Dash's part. A ton, a ton of highs filled with tears among tears, and she has a lot to cry about. And she cries for the fact that her pet Tank, her tortoise, cannot spend winter with her. By the way, winter is coming. They finally managed to put that reference in the show. An actual Game of Thrones reference.
Yes, they actually did a reference to Game of Thrones, which we did first, technically.
Yes.
Yay!
So so I'm going to assume that the whole crux that most fans, well, the most analytically minded fans at least, are going to have with this episode is the fact that Rainbow Dash seems to overreact just a little tiny bit, or the fact that her beloved pet, Tank the tortoise, cannot spend winter with her because he has to go into hibernation.
Really? I thought that I would have personally I would think that actually makes total sense that she would be like react like that,
Well,
considering she had big
well,
plans. She loves her pet
Yes,
so much.
but it's a pet. Still, one would not think that that's this Rainbow Dash, the Rainbow Dash that we currently know, the Rainbow Dash that has matured over the years and much less bratty compared to how she was originally, would actually go as so far to spend time with her pet, to not having hibernate, that she would actually plan to destroy winter.
Well, stop winter at first.
Well, first trying to stop winter with an actually pretty cool musical number too,
Yeah,
and
nice.
then she tries to. She even makes a Grinch-like face when she plans the scheme to stop winter, and then she decides to pull all the stops of sanity and goes on to trying to destroy the weather factory on Cloudsdale.
Which goes really well, actually.
Yes, which brings us to the winter is coming reference.
And a very big elephant in the entire of Equestria.
Please do explain.
Uh, it's just that I couldn't help but. And let me explain this soul seed.
Yes, that's what I asked you to do.
Basically, as Rainbow Dash goes into. Let me start. When she goes into Cloudsdale with her pet turtle, by the way, Tank, to basically stop the machine, she tries to find a way to make it big enough to put a crux into winter coming. But, so she destroys one of the machines, only to see Tank was about to get serrated by a fan and stop that, which literally goes into an avalanche and hurricane of many, many accidents that goes into one of the most amazing moments of mixture of slapstick and accidental prone madness I have seen from the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which escalates to such a degree that it's going to explode.
Yes.
And yeah, so what are you about to say?
Yes. So your point is that you like that scene.
It was funny, but as well, it's a bit tad awkward considering that how it all ends. It goes into imagery that looks like as if Ponyville got blown to smithereens a la Fallout. A la Fallout Equestria.
Well,
gosh.
Oh yes, thank you for that.
I did that for you.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So Game of Thrones has been telling us that winter is coming since season 1. Twilight Sparkle says it, and then winter literally comes in full
10
force seconds after. So, so I guess we know who wins that battle.
Yeah, the most awkward thing about that whole thing was I couldn't help but, I don't know why, but I kept on, I couldn't help but think of the Chernobyl accident when that happened. How...
Well, okay, that makes things awkward.
Yes, it made things awkward for me because I didn't know whether to laugh or be like, is that too soon still?
That's whether to laugh or not to. That's kind of the feeling I had watching this entire episode. In this episode, you see Rainbow Ash we all had both the privilege and the horror of seeing Rainbow Dash in a light in a way that we have never seen her before. Well, outside of fanfiction, that is.
Yes, extremely sensitive.
I mean, at first, she is the douchiest she's ever been. Extremely sensitive, extremely hostile, as if
Irritable.
irritable, completely in denial about the very idea that her pet cannot spend winter with her, and she had all this plan to do fun activities with her tortoise. And then there is the third act, in which, well, if the episode felt different already, then it went into full-on alien territory when we see this moment in which Rainbow Dash just her feelings crumble apart, and she's a pool of tears, and the best part is that Fluttershy ignited that because she knew it was for her own good to let it go. You know what this episode is?
What?
This episode is another funeral episode, like the third one. Except, well, it's Rainbow Dash has gone through all 5 stages of grief with the,
Yes.
with the whole pet going into hibernation.
Denial.
Yes,
Bargaining.
okay. First there was denial, then there was anger, and then there was bargaining, which is the part in which she tries to stop winter, and then there is depression, and finally, after getting everything out of her system, there is acceptance. This Rainbow Dash goes through the 5 stages of grief for her pet tortoise, because she cannot spend winter with it. If you leave it at that, with the superficiality of that statement, it doesn't seem much. It would feel that her reaction is over the top and for no apparent reason. But if you are like me and you're smart, then you think things through, and you realize that not only is Rainbow Dash in character in this episode, but we actually finally get to see a facet of her personality, of her psyche, that was there from the very beginning, but it was implied, but it was never fully shown to us. And it took a talented writer like Cindy Morrow to actually capture that certain aspects of Rainbow's behavior since the very episode in which she got Tank for the very first time.
Yeah.
And now I get to talk about it. Rainbow Dash
Yeah.
as a crippling fear of being alone. She cannot stand it. She wants to be in a relationship with someone. That's why her pet tortoise became her surrogate boyfriend.
Well, that's what you came to. I always had that realization ages ago.
Yes, I mean, okay, in the episode in which she get the pet tortoise, it was implied that she wanted a pet because she felt alone. All right?
I actually noticed that.
Yes, in the Mare Do Well episode, which came after, she states that she doesn't want to be left alone when she's on that cloud in a moment of depression, in a solitary good moment in that otherwise train wreck of an episode.
Yeah.
And now, it all comes down to this one episode in which she's confronted with the very idea that she will be alone because she won't have her surrogate boyfriend with her. And for her, for the winter, and for her, it feels like someone is dying that she loves, and she cannot take it, accept it, and she is not used to actually deal with said emotions that she's always been bottling up under her facade of awesomeness. But then it finally comes the moment in which everything goes all out, and it turns out deep beneath her, she had a lot more to get out of her system than we initially thought she would. And really, that scene in which she cries and cries and cries some more, and she cries so much that even the others start to cry, except for Twilight, who is just puzzled, and Applejack, who
cries on the inside.
Cries internally. And it's fantastic. And to me, this makes for not only for the most brave and boldest episode in the entire show, because it takes guts to do this to someone like Rainbow Dash, especially knowing how much the fans are, well, at
super
least
confident, competitive, all that rot that she shows on the outside.
yes, but it's the outside,
But
and the fans tend to be real drama queens when it comes to at least I'm sure at least half the fans are going to be
get it.
extremely in denial about this episode, but they will eventually go through the 5 stages of grief. Give them a season or two.
Yes,
Oh,
they'll
oh.
warm up to the sensitive sensitive
Yes, I
Rainbow
mean,
Dash.
personally speaking, this episode was great because it had the guts to go beyond certain limits that the show had up until this point and put the cards to the table. Well, at least up until a certain point. I mean, it is never openly stated that Rainbow Dash's own projected emotions over the loss of her pet, at least for the period of the winter, are would serve as a uh, representation of her own fear of solitude. That's implied, obviously, and
Which is good because then people
which is
could
which is good.
analyze it.
Yes, which is good. But then again, you know, if this were the Powerpuff Girls and Cindy Morrow was writing an episode for the Powerpuff Girl, they wouldn't just imply that fear of solitude. They would show it to us in full force without, leaving any trace of doubt. And that's because this show, at the end of the day, has still Hasbro behind it, so we cannot go beyond certain points, certain limits. And this episode, I'd say, season 5 as a whole so far, has been pushing those limits ever so slightly towards the edges of the edge. Season 5 so far has been so different from everything else we used to experience from this show that it is so refreshing, yet it is also scary because it is so different.
I find it very refreshing in a revitalizing sort of way for the show because it's going a bit more deeper than what we expect from it.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yes, I really like this too.
I absolutely love it. And yet, part of me is taken aback because,
What, because it's all different?
Well, not because it's all different, but because of how. Well, partly because it's different, but not just because it's different. It's because it's doing things to these characters that I would never expect them to do.
Yes, like
To go this far with Rainbow Dash to the point that they would actually have the guts to remove her facade of confidence entirely and show us the real Rainbow Dash. It's something that's, like I said, I would expect to see in fanfictions, but not in the actual show. And the ending was also perfect. I mean, after this episode, I will not ever be able to see Rainbow Dash in the same light ever again, and that's a good thing. This is like the moment in which Rainbow Dash achieves the full spectrum of characterization beyond
20% cooler line.
Beyond the 20% cooler line, and also beyond the element of loyalty shtick. Beyond all that, this is the real Rainbow Dash, and we finally got to meet her for the first time.
To be honest, it just gives
in the full glory. We've been shown facets of the real Rainbow Dash ever so slightly as a character grew over the years, but now we've gotten the full brunt of the club in the head, so to speak.
Well, to be honest, this episode definitely does give her a lot more character and adds a bit more to what we've learned about her, which is a good thing, really, because
yes.
And she is my least favorite pony still after this.
Well, she's kind of become my favorite now.
I thought she was always your favorite.
Yes, well, along with Pinkie Pie. Now, if the Pinkie Pie centric episode is going to be half as good as this one, or half as bold, I should say, and
I'll be interested in seeing that.
Yes, I mean, honestly, Cindy Mauro is just one of those writers that nail the emotional and psychological aspects of characters, maybe better than anyone else in her own professional field, as a writer for children's cartoons, at least. And this, and really all of the dialogues and the dynamics in between the characters, they felt less childish, less, say, children's cartoon-ish, so to speak, and more adult.
Well, more
Way more
natural to us.
more natural and more adult. I mean, the moment in which they are all in Rainbow Dash's room to trying to comfort her, and
yeah.
and they
That feels like true friendship there, if I've ever
Yes.
seen one.
that scene felt very like a very adult scene. Like it was treated with that level of respect, sensibility, and maturation. That's also a staple of Cindy Mauro's own specific style of writing, and it benefits whatever show she's writing for. So she's a really good writer. I believe I made my point now.
Well, it helps a lot that her, from what the sounds of things is that she is a good writer in the sense that she respects her audience to be
Mature enough to
old
comprehend
enough
the
to
situation.
actually look at the situation
Not
and
necessarily old enough, but mature and intelligent enough to
yeah,
understand
that's what I mean.
to
Intelligent.
understand human emotions.
That's what I was about to say and get to that mature. Uh,
So yes, season 5 so far has been, well, all about maturity, so to speak.
Yes,
All about the idea that the show has grown up, like I said before a couple of times, I think,
And is-
and it's living up to its writing potential. It feels like they are writing the same show not for children anymore, but for young adults.
to be honest, I think it's more. I think it's more in lines of because the show has been going on and it's grown on everyone. So
Yes, ideally, it's been growing up with its original audience.
yes, so that's what I respect about shows and book series and movies that franchises that grow up with the audience, so to speak.
Yes, I think the Powerpuff Girls, the show The Powerpuff Girls, pretty much went through the same motions, as in growing up with its audience. That's why we had episodes like Super Friends in season 4, which was still a much better episode than Thanks for the Memories. And Thanks for the Memories was a good episode too. So imagine how good Super Friends actually was.
Yeah. But yeah, to be honest, even though I like this episode enough to respect what it does, and even though, like I said before, I like Rainbow Dash the least, but yet I can still watch episodes with her at least, and respect what they do with her character and the writing when it's done right, at least. It's just that is it wrong for me to say I liked the last episode a lot more than this one, just because of it dealt with something that I connected to a bit more?
I don't think that's wrong.
Oh, good, because it's just that the way it's just let me see. It's just I thought it might have sounded a bit crazy me saying that.
No, you made it abundantly clear that you loved that previous episode, and it was a really good episode, especially on a second viewing. I'm sorry to say I've kind of dismissed it, pretty much unfairly, because on a second viewing it's a much better episode than I gave it initially credit for. Okay, so far, if I had to do a top 5 episodes, list for
Well, there's
season
only
5,
been 5 episodes right
yes.
now.
Yes, okay. Okay, so far yes, the top 5 episode would be like this. Fifth place, Castles with Castle, then followed by
The cutie
what's-
map.
no, Cutie Mark would be second actually. So the other one, it's like what's the name? What's the title of the episode?
Which one you're thinking of? Bloom Gloom?
Yeah, yes, Bloom and Gloom. Not really an inspired title, if you ask me.
Not really.
Okay, fourth place, Bloom and Gloom. gloom and gloom, and then a cutie map because it was pretty damn solid, and finally this one. This one, thanks for the memories, is so far my favorite episode in season 5. And in spite of that, I cannot say I fully enjoyed it because of how much taken aback I was by Rainbow's behavior.
Well,
So it became my favorite one in retrospect when I thought about it.
I just while in this episode, thanks for the memories.
Thanks for
Yeah.
that. It's the pun.
Yes.
Acknowledge the pun.
Yes, thanks for the memories. Yes,
Yes.
I acknowledge the pun already. But like I said, what was I about to say? I had something in my mind, but then you interrupted me. uh, I'm trying to remember now.
Something about
It's,
Rainbow Dash. Maybe having the best faces ever.
yes, she has the best faces in this episode, even
Yes.
crazier. Oh, now I remember now. It's I was too busy basking in the glory that is seeing this completely different side to her, so to speak.
Yes. Complete. It was a side of her that was hinted, as I said before, but never fully shown.
To be honest,
So
I thought it was so done in a way that it made total sense to me that she
yes,
would react like that, because the fact
it
she
makes
had all
sense.
these big plans, that she be doing all this awesome stuff, but then suddenly when
But
those plans were being threatened
yes,
by
but then she goes overboard to the point that she wants to stop winter. Like if she were the Grinch wanting to stop Christmas, she even makes the Grinch's face, which was really cool.
yes, that definitely
And
was cool.
at that point, it seems like Rainbow Dash has gone bananas for no good reason. But okay, like I said, if you
Yes.
think about it, it makes perfect sense that she would do anything in her power from preventing her surrogate boyfriend to not be with her, and leave her alone, thus leaving her alone because she's afraid of being alone, and she desperately needs a boyfriend or a girlfriend or anyone. Please, somebody hook her up with someone, otherwise she's going to go insane every time she's not with something
And
to keep her
fan fictions
company.
were written.
Oh no, not I hope not with Pet Tank. I hope not with the Pet Tank, the tortoise. Oh, who am I kidding? They're going to be.
I meant fan fictions that the very popular genre of comfort fan fictions that go so well with romances.
Yes. Blah blah. You know, Echo. Speaking of the limitations of the show, here's the problem.
What?
Well, we all know what is the solution to Rainbow Dash's solitude problems, right? To get in a relationship with someone. But if they do actually have the gall to give Rainbow Dash either a cold friend or a feely friend, you know how the fans are.
Well, we talked about how well the fans would take
Yes, I mean,
certain concepts.
already doing an episode like this, I was never expecting it to happen because it takes so much guts to go against the pre-established, superficial, general ideas that the fans have about Rainbow Dash to show us the true emotionally crippled individual lying beneath the tough surface. But if they would have the guts to go even further than that and give Rainbow Dash either a feely friend or a cold friend, something is going to explode on the internet.
Well, yeah, because we all know what happened when Twilight and Flash Sentry was hinted.
The problem with Flash Sentry is that he's a complete one-dimensional Gary Stu. If he were to be an actually interesting character, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But as it turns out, it's just there because Megan McCarthy has a pet project or something like that.
Well, I was not referring to that. I was referring to the backlash the internet had, where the fan base had, to even it being even a thread.
Yes, you know what?
Between them.
You know what?
What?
I almost wish they will make an episode in which Rainbow Dash gets a cold friend or a feely friend, or both at the same time. if o-
Whoa,
and it should
whoa,
be and it should
whoa.
and it should be written by Cindy Morrow. If only because I would love nothing more than to see all those ridiculous drama queen bronies crying like I fountains, and I would be drinking their own tears in the light. I
Yeah,
would love nothing more than to see that. Just to, I would have a smile plastered across my face, the size of the moon. Really.
just so you know, folks, when I first saw that crying scene, I was like, okay, she's gonna get this out of her system. That's good for her because, it's what she needs, as
Yes.
Fluttershy says. But then it got really awkward really fast for me.
It keeps going
Yeah,
and going
I
and
don't know
going.
why. I just felt so uncomfortable watching it.
Well, because it's a scene that we're not supposed to be part of. It's a very private scene in the private life of a pony
Well,
that she shares with her
well,
girlfriends, so to
from
speak. So it's meant to be awkward and sad and heartbreaking and perhaps a little bit funny.
well, it was touching because at the end with Tank where they touch heads.
I think it was a really well put together scene because
Yeah,
it managed to be both sad, awkward, and a little bit funny.
yeah.
That's really tough, difficult to pull off, but once again, leave it to Cindy Morrow.
Like I said though, the only reason I felt awkward about it because it went on a bit long for my taste.
And then Rarity starts to cry, and that Pinkie Pie starts to cry, the Fluttershy starts to cry, and Pirate Sparkle is just puzzled, and Applejack cries internally.
Yes, you're not sad that we're sad.
Pinkie Pie says, which is okay. Honestly, I think everyone was pretty much in character in that scene.
Yeah, especially considering Fluttershy learned last season that she has to be tough in order
Yeah,
to be kind.
sometimes tough love is the best kind of kindness, and Rainbow Dash needed that, and
Yeah.
she knew it, and so much friendship.
Also, little detail, I was surprised she had a fluffy dressing gown for a tomboy, as well as tortoise slippers, as the tortoise had Rainbow Dash slippers.
Oh gee, it's almost as if Rainbow Dash isn't a stereotypical tomboy. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's like the fan base really put a cloud, so to speak, to cover that up.
Maybe Rainbow Dash, well,
Has
likes
some
to
girly side to it.
likes to indulge into a more feminine side, especially when she's not feeling up to, fulfill her daily quota of awesome tomfoolery.
Because, I always had a strange feeling that while she acted tomboyish and cool sort of thing, I always knew that deep down there was a bit of a feminine side to her and soft side.
And there is nothing wrong with that, but apparently Rainbow Dash thought it would be wrong for her to show that side of her.
Yeah,
And now
she thought
she-
she
and
had
now
to be
that
the tough one, the
Yes,
one
and
to
now that
support the
yes,
team.
and now that she's shown that side of her, to no, not only to her friends but to herself, she can grow up to be an even better individual.
Yeah,
And that's the feeling I get from the end of this episode.
Yeah,
I saw a completely different Rainbow Dash from what we've been used so far, and I love it.
yes, and now she can be 50% cooler.
I'm pretty sure by the next episode she's going to go back acting in her usual way.
Well, yeah, but
regardless.
regardless, overall, this was a good episode for what it is.
Pretty good, yes.
I mean, you won't leave disappointed. You might feel awkward and uncomfortable at first, but but as soon as you think about it, you feel a sort of revitalization on Rainbow Dash's character.
Yes. So far we have 2 episodes in this show that are about a figurative funeral and grieving. So
And acceptance.
And well, of course, acceptance being the final stage of grieving, so it includes that.
Acceptance seems to be a big thing in this series right now.
Yes, it's almost as if they're trying to clue their fans into it, guys. This show has changed. Accept it already.
I mean,
So, okay, honestly, the this might be the dominant leitmotif of this show: change,
and
grieving, and
acceptance.
acceptance.
I would,
And so far, it's been really consistently good and really consistent in its theming,
we
so
have
to speak.
we have to wait and see if there's a filler episode with Spike.
Honestly, I want them to go on the road again because, okay, Slice of Life, as I said, is fine and dandy, especially when it's written by Cindy Morrow.
But I really want to see, like I
Yes,
said, the
yes, yes.
possibilities.
Yes, the possibilities. Then again, if they are continuing with this specific theming about acceptance and all of that, which, like I said, it's been pretty much consistent in all the 5 episodes that have been broadcast up until this point. Well, I cannot wait to see in which kind of context will that theming be applied to next episode and the episode after that, and so forth and so forth. This season 4 is being, it's the most interesting already so far. I mean,
It's,
I
it's
can
definitely
already
interesting.
tell.
It's definitely interesting from a, from from a not psychological, emotional standpoint.
Yes,
I was trying
emotional
to think of
standpoint.
something else other than human nature standpoint because that's what I tend to generalize it as, usually. You know, basically the whole concept of
Well, these characters are very human, figuratively speaking.
well, they're sentient
Well, they are capable of emotions.
and
They are
thinking for
capable.
themselves.
They are capable of human emotions, facing problems like everyone else. So
So like I said, I'm just eating up all this wonderfulness just because, you know, as I said before, I'm really into my psychologies and people's and analyzing people's reactions and such.
I want to go on a little bit of a tirade here.
Okay.
And okay, so the tone of the show has changed ever so slightly. It's evident now. It has changed along with its status quo. So it earned its tone shifting, so to speak. It earned it. Unlike Adventure Time, which by the way has been slowly turning into a completely different tone, a much more somber tone over the years without actually earning it because up until the last time I watched any episode of Adventure Time, it was around the period of Food Chain. I don't know if it gotten better since then, but the show Adventure Time has shifted its tone completely, but it still have the characters going through the same motions that were there since the beginning of the show, except now that the tone has changed. There is no point in being like that anymore. And the status quo never actually changes. It gets reinstated every time there is the little slight bit of hope for a consistent and coherent change, but there isn't. And
It's like Adventure Time just cannot.
Adventure Time, I tried to like it for years, but I couldn't do it because Cartoon Network had milked it for all it was worth it. And we have a good, significant episode once every 20 episodes that are absolutely mediocre, not memorable, or completely pointless. And it. Okay, so to put it in perspective,
It's afraid of walking forward, so to speak.
no, it's worse. It's worse than that. It's afraid to walk forwards, but it acts like it actually did, with the tone shifting and all that. Whereas the Friendship is Magic, I'm sorry to say, guys, has actually grown as a show. It followed a path and it keeps going towards that path, and it changes the status quo and all that. So it actually earned a shifting of the tone. So that's how you do it. The fact that there is a significant period of break in between various seasons, as opposed to having, say, Adventure Time lasting 50 episodes one season, and then 50 the next season, never actually taking a break from production, only makes the show more enjoyable if you have a period of break in between seasons, in between episodes. If you go for a continued production of episodes, inevitably the show will tire itself off. It will become less interesting and you will just be done with it. And so did I. I pretty much stopped watching it around the time of Food Chain. So I stopped caring altogether. And I tried because there were some good things, some good potential, some amazing potential with that show, but it never actually lived up to it. And when it seems like it was about to try to live up, it will go full circle to go back to its original status quo, and nothing would really change in the grand scheme of things. So there you go.
And I never started watching it at all.
So I apologize for this long tirade, but I needed to say this because freaking MLP, the show that was made to promote girls' toys, actually earned its tone change because he actually had the guts to go through with a status quo change to begin with. So there you go.
Yes,
Okay.
that definitely says a lot. And while you were on your tirade, I was staring at this image for so long that I'm seeing a mixture of Sylvester Stallone and Popeye in one on Rainbow Dash's face.
Well, good for you, I guess. Speaking of Popeye,
Yeah.
did you know that legendary cartoonist Genndy Tartakovsky, creator of Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, and the incredibly underrated Symbionic Titan,
Yeah.
is going to direct a CG animated movie of Popeye?
I knew that the CG animated movie part with the trailer, but I didn't actually know
Yes.
he was behind it.
Genndy Tartakovsky is behind it, and it turns out Popeye is the character he wanted to, well, write stories about since forever. And I cannot wait for that. I mean, a Popeye film directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. Are you kidding me?
It's like a dream come true for you.
Yes, Genndy Tartakovsky, who, by the way, was pretty much everywhere in a certain period of time on Cartoon Network in between 1998 and the early 2000s. He was always active in the episode production and direction of Powerpuff Girls too. If you see every episode, you'll notice that half the time he will appear in the directorial booth and as a executive producer.
Ah.
Well, actually, no. The executive producer is Craig McCracken, the creator. He will be another kind of producer with a different name, but still a producer of the show.
Anyway, we've been going on for 45 minutes, so...
Well, there was a lot to say, both on the side and inside the side. What am I
Yes.
saying?
Inside, outside, within the fan base, outside the fan base, inside the show, within
Yeah,
the show, blah blah.
Yes, I think at this point I made it abundantly clear that I don't really care about the fans' opinions about this show. So I enjoy the show for what it is, according to my own personal sensibilities. Thank you very much, and you are free to agree with me if you want to.
Yes,
And also with Devar here, he also has opinions.
which yes, but I'm so open to everyone else's opinions as well as including my own to share. At least.
Oh, so okay, so you're open to your own opinions too? That's
Well, of course I'm open to my own opinions. I meant to everyone else's if I said it wrong. I thought I said
Okay.
it right.
I think at this point we're pretty much done.
Yes. I think we were done 10
with
minutes
this.
ago.
We could keep spouting nonsense for however long we want to. But okay, so this was once again, this was we never did the introduction to this podcast. This was the family-friendly pony podcast.
I was gonna say, but then I got swept in by your stream of talking.
You've been swept by my stream of consciousness. My loud stream of consciousness.
Yes,
My very loud
apparently your
stream of
voice
consciousness.
has sentience enough to be a consciousness of its own.
What you just said is baffling beyond belief. But anyway, good night, everybody. This has been the Family Friendly Pony Podcast show, and I have been your host and expert panelist, Madhog Playmaster.
And I have been your professional amateur, Devar Akbaron.
And this has been my giant rant about Adventure Time, which is right me on the side here. You cannot see it, but it's waving its ghastly hand at you. It was born the second I stopped talking about Adventure Time, and now it's an entity on its own right, and it's going to spread venom and disharmony among Adventure Time fans. Spread across the internet like Ultron.
Indeed.
So, okay, bye.
Take care, and until the next super family friendly pony podcast show.
Worship the face.